talking about the Old Dominion 100.
The Old Dominion 100. Well, you're crazy. So
You're crazy.
If you're gonna
How many years have you done in the Army?
26.9 something.
That's
years.
close to a marathon. A marathon's 26.2.
I know,
You did
and I will never
26.9.
run a marathon, but you're my inspiration. So maybe.
But I got you some Hoka shoes.
Hoka shoes, and you better super carb load.
I am carb loading.
So, you guys don't know, but we've been in the Army a very long time. He's like a brother from another mother. He's crazy, and he will continue to run hundreds of miles. Listen to what he says, even though he's like 90% full of bullshit. And but
85%.
the 10% that he is not full of bullshit is worth gold.
Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity for all of us to gather and meet this endurance challenge and run through the majesty of your creation. Give us the strength to conquer the mountains and the endurance to finish the day. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Good luck, everyone.
It's an actual fair challenge of trying to run 100 miles within 24 hours. It's not easy. If you're trained properly, you should be able to come here and make it through within a 24-hour period. And I think that's what differentiates us from a lot of the other races.
We're at 56 right now, 14 hours in. 24 hours is a tough shot, but we're just going to run hard when we can. Live the dream.
So my name's Scott Lee. I'm originally from West Virginia, southern West Virginia. I grew up in the coal fields of southern West Virginia. Father was a coal miner, family's coal miners. Actually met my wife there in high school. We got married shortly after. I joined the Air Force. Spent 25 years active duty Air Force. Got into running when I turned 30. It's coincidentally about the same time my father passed away, shortly after that. And what I quickly realized is how running helped me deal with grief and pain.
Oh, we feel good coming in.
Yeah, we've been smart all day and still running fairly strong, so paying off.
Yeah, we're running a smart race. It's a family, it's a big family, you know. We don't see anything but camouflage as our family, and it's more than just me. It's about you, it's about them, it's about everyone.
Being in the military, you know, deployments, ops tempo is high, stress is high. People at the end of their careers, some of them really struggle with, you know, transitioning back to civilian life, and certainly I think ultra running could help with that, right? So I know we all need purpose, right? So I know a lot of friends that have moved on from the military that struggle to find purpose. And this is just one thing that, you know, could help them with purpose, right?
The climb from 50 to 56 was pretty intense. And it was towards the end of the day, the heat was intense. There was a lot of people that were falling back. And we started catching them because Scott and I were running this very systematic race. We were running like on our pace, very slow, but we were still where we wanted to be. Off on the ATV trail, and then things started coming apart. You know, so When you say ATV trail, I'm thinking like a perfect like dirt road or anything like that. It wasn't. It was basically a 2-mile climb up this gnarly, rocky terrain that reminded me a lot of Colorado. And the climb was slow, and it set us back a little bit. And as we started coming down into the next aid station, Scott and I started talking like, hey, look, we have to be at mile 75 before, I think it was like 11 o'clock, or we're gonna get cut.
No, not yet. You'll get those probably at Elizabeth. Donuts.
Half a banana?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
And you need to
Peanut butter.
Oh, that was a tough section. Climbing up the Jeep trail.
Yeah.
That sucked.
Where you on the other one?
You want to go with your socks so you have that crap ready here. Those socks will be fine.
I knew we didn't have a lot of challenge between us and Elizabeth Furnace, which is the only cutoff in the race, and it's pretty significant that you get there by midnight. So leaving Little Fort, that was my mindset is, hey, you know, we have road sections all the way into Elizabeth Furnace. I mean, it's certainly, I think it was about 15 miles roughly, mile 60-ish to mile 75, but it was all roads. I knew we could make some time. So when I left there, you know, I know Sean had some things to do. He's going to be a little longer, so I just, you know, told him to take care of what he needed to, and he'd catch me on the road.
The Elizabeth Furnace. I really started to struggle, and I was having some problems with my feet because 13 days earlier I ran the Mastodon 100. I developed 2 large blisters on the bottoms of my feet, and it was very painful.
You know, the pace chart that he had was for 24 hours. He was 2 hours behind that when we saw him last.
Our plan was to run that race conservatively, start off slow, and then just execute late. It was as simple as that, which, you know, that's not always as easy as it sounds. It sounds great before the race and on paper, but once you get into it, it's easy to start slow and be smart. The difficult part is executing at the end when you're tired, when you're hungry, when your feet hurt, and everything is telling you to stop.
Switch shoes. So you think it just pulls. Course light in there? It doesn't, it'll just go. This is a good aid station. He's going to spend time here because they got some spread. He's going to want to eat food. at this point, 75 miles in, it's a lot of mental. So we're going to have that same situation with Sean. How's his foot going to be? He's going to be pretty tough about it. But let's see what happens with him. But for my case, I learned from that. And so it happens, but you can work it out. There's another hour left right now, right? So we'll figure it out when it comes in.
But it's sometimes like you got to try. I've done that a couple times, but I never thought about, hey, what? If I take a 10-minute nap, that as screwed up as my body's feeling, that it might give my brain an opportunity, like yours, to catch up with the body and reset itself. And if you can do that, then it's not going to be 100%, but it might get you back to a new equilibrium, and then you can keep marching on.
Yeah, it's got 43 to the aid station. This is the only cutoff. It's at midnight right now.
141. 146.
And rain when you drop here.
Started to get a little bit worried. We were watching our watches, and we had all of our things there, their change of shoes, their change of socks, and we just kept watching, and we would see headlights coming around the corner, and we were thinking, okay, there's two of them, is that our guys? And then it wasn't. I think we were there for a good while just waiting as the clock's ticking down, and so I was beginning to wonder at that point, are they going to make it before the hard cutoff? Because they had to be there by midnight, and it was probably 11:45 when we finally saw the two lights coming in.
So schools, I brought new glasses. I don't know if you want glasses to read it and stuff. And hey, what can you help us out? Or what do you want your you need new socks? I'm the best program there is. You know that, right? I play the everything. Hey, baby. What about looking for stuff for you? When you drink this beer. You want to have a do too? What do you want to use? This is like a beer reader.
When Scott and I came into Elizabeth Furnace, we had 15 minutes. 15 minutes. So that doesn't include time to get ready. That doesn't include change socks, change shoes, change outfits, fuel up, and get back out. So you have to add that in. So that's not 15 minutes. That's like 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes after you've done everything to go. We did everything we had to, and we got out with like 2 minutes left or 3 minutes left to spare.
Come on, Scott.
My body was starting to wear down, and I was starting to have some doubts.
We got up Sherman's Gap, which was definitely the toughest climb of the day, and coming at mile 75, there's no worse time to face the worst climb of the day.
I am broken.
How you feeling?
Oh, fucking hurting, dude.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this nicely. You've got to find 30 minutes in the next, you're at 81. You got to find 30 minutes.
After hearing that from someone that, you know, thinking clearly that doesn't have 76, 77 miles, you know, on their body, we're thinking, how the heck are we going to make up 30 minutes in the last 24 miles of this race, right? I mean, we're probably at the lowest of lows mentally and physically at this point.
Less than 2 miles, guys.
Airborne shuffle.
What Pop said.
Oh, this is some suspense right here.
They have to find 30 minutes. They cannot mathematically make it.
There was one thought in my mind, and that thought was, it took us 3 hours to climb that hill. We have one more hill like this to climb after Beach East into Beach West. I was like, it's a 2 mile climb. It's a similar terrain and we're not gonna make it. And that was kind of the point where I knew I wasn't gonna finish that race. You know, and how do you convey that to Scott? You know, it was very tough. I was having an internal struggle. You know, that's something tough for me. I was like, how do I tell Scott that we're not going to make the time hack for the next cutoff?
They have 19 miles left. If they go 3 miles an hour, that's 18 minutes. That's 18. That's, you understand what I'm saying? That's 18 miles. They're a mile short, and they're a mile short at 20 minutes. So right now they're 26 minutes over. They have to make up 30 minutes. They have to make up 30 minutes in the next 20 miles. So if they do a mile, they do an 18-minute mile and a 16-minute mile, they've made up like 3 minutes. Does that make sense? That's how they have to do it. There's no way to push them, so we got to make sure we get that in the next station.
You know, that is a tough pill to swallow. 30 minutes. How do you make 30 minutes up? You know, it's tough. You really have to think about how you can make 30 minutes up. That 30 minutes went to 45 minutes. We were so far behind the cutoff that before we got there, Scott and I had a candid talk. And I told him, I was like, hey, look, I mean, I don't want to admit that I want to quit. But right now, I have a strong feeling that if they offer me a chance to get in that truck, I'm going to get in that truck. And it's kind of a very emotional moment. You know, you're at the brink, you're at the edge, you're at mile 80 something. You know, you've put your heart out there all day. And all of a sudden, you're going to have it stripped because, you know, my feet hurt, my head hurts, you know, my legs hurt. I don't feel good. And we got into the aid station, and thank God, the aid station was manned by the Virginia Happiest Trails Run Club that ran Massanutten. The race director from Massanutten comes up to me and he's like, you're not getting in that truck, you're going over that hill. And I sat there for a second, I looked at Scott, and Scott looked at me, and he's like, we shook our heads because we were convinced. We were convinced that we were done. We were convinced that was it. And mentally, you went from closing that window to all of a sudden opening that window. And Scott said, we got to go.
Once we got beyond that, got up and over Veach Gap and coming into Veach West, I think we definitely knew we were going to finish. From that point on, it's all roads once you get through Veach West.
And then we hit the road and my feet just started grinding up. It was the worst feeling in my world. But I had a blister underneath that I didn't know about. And so that blister was putting pressure on the other blister. And that was probably the longest 6 miles to the next aid station. And I knew right away, I got to the next aid station, I was like, all right, we have one more climb, and then we got to make it to the finish.
Out of my foot. It's on freaking fire. Something's wrong with it.
Here at the front,
yeah.
You got the same thing you had at Massanutten. I mean, at
it was like a blister in there or something.
Yeah, you had the same thing you had at Yeti. Right. You want to pop it, or are you just going to cut it?
Is there a way to pop it?
187.
If you don't see a way to pop it, then no.
Sting.
Okay with that?
Yeah. Thinking here.
Yeah, it's right up here.
Hi! Ah!
It's coming out?
No, it's trying.
Blister.
Ah!
It is.
Hi! Yeah.
Oh, there. Sorry.
Oh.
There we go.
Bloody Judas Priest. Oh.
That's about it, man.
All right.
Okay. That's alright. Let's
Dry your feet
put
off.
some lube on it. Give it 2 or 3 wraps, and then let's put some KT tape on it.
Sean will start walking.
I got you.
Straight up to the top.
God, that feels good. Thank you for popping that, Steve. This thing gonna move a little bit, bro. I got it right here. Watch this.
Got some scissors. I have some scissors.
Oh my gosh, that's so much better.
Is it?
Yes! You know it's right running on a blister inside a blister?
You just put on one
does,
sock.
yeah.
Put on one sock.
Yeah, one side.
That's what do you do?
That's dirty.
These both these. So he got out with about 6 minutes for the cut, and he sat there for what, 10? They were in 15 minutes before they needed to be out, or they're, so they'll make it. Okay. This is the last climb, and then it's about 600 feet, I think, and it's downhill. I got 9 miles left. How much time we got? 2 hours and 6 minutes. 2 hours and 36 minutes to do 9 miles. 3 miles an hour, 36. Oh, that's gonna be tight. 36, 37, 30. They can do it.
Left. An hour, 2 minutes.
All I could think about was like the people that run this before, like Mike and Dave. Last year, I was help supporting both of them. Mike had already tapped out by that point because he had taken 2 wrong turns and he couldn't make it back. And then as we're coming down the hill, I saw the left turn that Dave made that set him off 15 minutes where he didn't finish the course. You know, you kind of have that emotional kind of like moment where like, you know, this is it. This is for Mike and Dave.
I was close on the time cutoff. Well, I got to mile 96 and took the wrong turn. And by the time I realized it, I was out of time. I got to mile 97 officially. And the time clock basically was expiring. My watch had gone over 100. And so I pretty much pulled the plug right there. I wasn't going to make the cutoff, and my attempt at the Big Four in 1 year was washed up. So that was a significant emotional event for me. It was actually my first DNF in ultra running.
Longest 3/4 of a mile to the finish line.
It was one of the most satisfying finishes I've had. It was a race from the start to the finish. We had a plan, we stuck to our plan, we fell behind our plan, and we still persevered and came out. And that is the team sport of running. You persevere. If Scott wouldn't have been there, I don't know if I would have finished. If I can motivate you, challenge you to run 1 mile, and then I've left my mark. That's the emotional aspect of it. when I was like a company commander, leading soldiers, you know, it's not about telling someone to do something, to execute something, make it happen right now. It's about inspiring them to do it because they believe in you. And that's about trail running. It's about all of us versus the trail. The trail doesn't change for you or me or him or her or whatever. It's the same trail, same course, and it's all of us together. And I think as a whole, this race itself was perfect in the sense that Scott and I worked together to get it done. You know, with great pacers like you, great work with Steve, and other runners out there that we ran with that may or may not have finished, because the DNF rate for this race was extremely high. Whether it was the humidity, the heat, the intense like pace that a lot of people set or whatever, it was a tough race, and less than half the people finished this race, and I'm proud to say that I finished it. I'm proud to tell Dave I finished it. I'm proud to tell Mike I finished it. I'm proud to tell my family, you, everyone else. We're going to continue this course, and we got 4 more races to do, and it's not easy. And I'm not out here to put a notch in the belt. I'm out here to inspire people. I'm out here to get you off the couch. Get them off the couch. You've done it. You've ran 100 miles. You know what it takes. It's not easy. But mentally, you can do it. You can do more than you think you can. And at the end of this race, my feet were broken. They were blistered, still swollen. I could barely walk. You know, but I got my hat, I got my bag, I got my finish, and 3 weeks later, I'm starting to run again. And we're going to go to Leadville, and we're going to finish Leadville. And then we're going to finish 4 more of these 100 miles in Virginia. And we're going to be the first 2 people to finish the Virginia 6-pack and inspire others to do it. And all I want is other people to get off the couch, stop enjoying, you know, this laissez-faire attitude where you can relax and enjoy and life will come to you. Life doesn't come to you. Life's not fair. Life isn't fair to you, to me, to other people, you know, veterans, everyone. There's an obstacle in life. And if you sit behind that obstacle and all you do is look at that obstacle, you're never going to get to that finish line. You have to work through that obstacle and get to that finish line. Whatever it takes, you have to make it happen. And that's why this race was a great race. And I'm glad you're part of it. I'm glad everyone else was a part of it. And I truly had a painful race that I will remember for a long time.